Just a few things that I learned. First of all, the official name is Republic of Liberia, located in West Africa, and for those of us who were born and raised in the United States, it's slightly larger than Ohio, to give you a frame of reference. The capital is Monrovia, and the population is 3.3 million. The official language is English. There's a 20% literacy rate, an 80% unemployment rate, and we're going to help change that, folks. This what gave me goosebumps. Ready? Liberia means land of the free. Free African American and freed slaves from the United States in 1820. An initial group of 86 immigrants established a settlement in Chrysopolis, now called Monrovia, named after the U.S. President James Monroe. Before I introduce our esteemed guests, I want to make sure that I need to thank people. I just always wake up every morning with this sense of joy and thanksgiving. And this morning I'm certainly thankful for all of you. But I need you to know that McDougall-Littell is the textbook company with whom we purchased the new Maxwell. Now, not only did they donate to mission that I'm on to raise money to move forward our strategic plan. They gave us a cash donation for that about 4 weeks ago. In addition to that, they're providing support so that Pam Richards can travel to Liberia, and they provided this evening. So Mike and Merlin, would you please stand and let us thank you? Now, this is sort of the drum roll moment. You know, this is when we roll the drum, and I get to share with you about Professor Mason. It's my understanding that he and others visited our state capitol yesterday, and everyone who was there said it was a fabulous experience. So I'm so grateful that some of our folks, our own board member, Lynn Miskowski, who's going to share with you later on today, this morning was part of the group, and certainly Professor Mason and Ms. Andrini and everyone who was there said it was just a wonderful, wonderful experience. Let me tell you that Professor Mason is the advisor and special envoy to President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf of Liberia. Born in Sinoe, Liberia, Professor Mason is a graduate of Georgetown University where he majored in international affairs. He earned both an MA and PhD from the University of California in Economics and African Studies. Professor Mason is the former Liberian ambassador to France, Spain, Switzerland, Greece, Algeria, and UNESCO, which is the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization. And I can't leave out that Professor Mason is a very successful businessman. As the representative of the Liberian government, Professor Mason asked for an opportunity to express his country's appreciation for the textbooks, computers, and other materials donated by our school district. And while he is here, he will tour several of our school buildings, and he hopes that this visit will start a new relationship between ISD 279 and Osseo Area School and the Republic of Liberia. Please welcome Professor, Dr. Business
introduction like this from the superintendent, I'm a little lost for words. I feel like the lady who was at the funeral of her husband, and the priest here would know that at funerals, no matter how bad it might have been in life, usually the priest will find something nice to say about you. And this guy was not necessarily the best husband. The priest just went on praising him. He was a loving husband, a devoted father, a churchman, etc., etc. And the poor widow is listening to all of this, then decided to get up went to the casket, opened the casket, and went back to sit down. Everybody ran to her, thinking that she was deeply in grief. And they said, "What happened, madam?" She says, "No, it's just that after I listened to all the things the priest is saying, I wanted to make sure that the man that I know was in that casket." And so I was beginning to feel that way when So thank you all very much indeed. It's a great pleasure. I can tell the last time I was seated with students of your very old age. But it's always been a pleasure. My own academic life, as the principal, it is started off at least at a higher level here in the United States when we were children growing up in Sino. Now Sino is in the southeast of Liberia, which happens to be one of the more deprived areas of Liberia. So we kids were growing up, and I remember all through high school, we had to fight. We got up at 5 o'clock in the morning, and we did quite a bit of home chores before going. I don't know what you guys do at your house, but we had to go to the well, fill up our drums with water, and get some firewood. And then by about 6:15 or so, we had to cross the river, and with canoe. And I'm going to tell you a little fun about this because I've rarely practiced how to man a canoe. So we went to Disneyland one time. I went with my children to Disneyland, and they had a small game there where parents would then take a canoe and do a small race. My skills came in quite handy there because by the time I went around the block, the guys who were competing with me were just starting. But I told them, I said, well, I've been used to this. So but we had to then get in the canoe and cross the river for about 20 minutes. After that, then we walk for 45 minutes to go to the school. 45 minutes to go, 45 minutes to come. By the time you get there, you're very tired. And I see your breakfast you're having this morning. No, I carried peanuts and what we call farina in my pocket. Not right away, because we ate it right away, you'll be very hungry for the rest of the day. We ate it for lunchtime. I'm mentioning this only to draw your attention to the fact that life in this world is not all that you see here. There are varieties of standards of living. But the burning desire to learn something, to improve oneself, to get ahead, that desire is common. Whether you're in America or you're in China where I'm from. And so, this so-called hardship life that I've been describing was for us, I remember at that time, was exciting. Because even with this limited access to education that we had, there were so many others who didn't even have that. So we considered ourselves very lucky. And we went on and persevered so that Sino, and here again not to make a boast, but our high school, when the year I graduated, made a big record. In Liberia, before you graduate from high school, you have to take what we call the national examination. This is an examination that's given to all high school graduates. And that year, when I graduated from high school, our school, in my question, made the highest grade in the whole country. That is how, in fact, I was able to be eligible to take a scholarship program that the U.S. government was entering that year. The U.S. government came to Africa. And all of us who had graduated from high school that year did a screening test. After that, they gave us an examination and chose the best from the high schools around Africa. In Liberia, I still remember, we were some 350 high school graduates that took the exam. and it took only 4 of us. And I can't tell you, I happen to have been one of them. I was very excited, very happy. But I was so sad also because so many of my friends who were equally smart, and very, very tough, were not chosen. And the reason, of course, is that the United States have a limited number of spaces. And I don't know, thanks to God and whatever else they would have found in me, I was chosen. This is how, of course, I came to the United States, went to Georgetown University, and whatever you may think of him, President Lincoln happened to be my classmate. Right? He was a very good student, in fact. We went and made him president of our freshman class. And I have a little joke about him because when I came to America, I was looking like a typical African refugee. What we in Liberia would describe as a dry boonie. Very, very dry fellow. Well, part of the reason is if you were eating only farina and you put that in your pocket, you couldn't get inside with that kind of guy. But after the first year, we were elected to Phi Beta Kappa, one of the honorary societies, and at Georgetown, we had a special house for honor students where we went for lunch. And I remember all my American friends would then buy my long sandwiches and gallons of milk. I didn't see, except I could hardly eat 1/3 of the sandwich. I was already bloated. And secondly, I couldn't drink all that milk. But my friend President Clinton, who had come from down south, already a big man, he was looking twice my size. And he would always grab the food from me and finish it. So we got a nickname to with each other called You Can't Eat. He was very surprised that I couldn't eat this sandwich. And we went on with that name for a long time. So even at his first inauguration, where I was invited as a special guest, and when he met with classmates, he spent a lot of time talking with me. At the end of the day, the press came and wanted to know what I was discussing with the president. Of course, having been in diplomacy school, I told them that all conversations with the president are confidential. So what were we talking about mainly about those old days and how he would eat up all my food? I said, well, not these days, I can eat now myself. So life in America was quite exciting for us. I know the Liberian students who come to America these days don't have the same problems we had because of this spread of global culture. Students in Liberia now will be able to sing all the latest songs by 50 Cent and dress like you do and do all the dances. I was telling my little niece yesterday, she asked me what music I want. I like her. I said that I was talking about the old Liberian music, like we are Connecticut, we are this kind of thing. She would rarely get a big laugh at me. I said, no, but I don't think it can also, you know. So they don't have those kinds of problems, but we have those kinds of cultural problems. How do we get adjusted? First thing was the food. Second was our language. They said we spoke funny. And I remember a Gambian friend of mine went to the restaurant and tried to order some food. And lots of students in the line. And we look up on the board and it's telling us about the hamburgers, the fries, trying to find out. And every time the lady will come, next! And they would say, yes, one ham, but they're trying to read it. To finish, next! So we never ate anything. We have to go, and I think that was the beginning of our moving out of campus and we're going to find our own place to stay because we would never be able to buy food. But that kind of problem doesn't exist anymore. All the kids here, the Liberian kids, by the time they come to America, they know there was a program to use their language. We didn't have that kind of privilege. We had to learn. All of this is just to show that we part of this global village that is springing up, and I'm quite excited about it, to see that kids in Liberia can relate with kids here in Minnesota. And if we are able to express this solidarity, this oneness, in spite of our varying levels of standards of living, if we're able to recognize that in the end, we're all part of this human family, that whether things go right in Minnesota, things go bad in Nigeria, there's an equation that has to be balanced out. And I think the fact that your school district has been able to look at the situation in our country and be able to make a contribution to alleviating the problems there, I think that's a good beginning. And I would hope that this type of solidarity will be shown not only in your district, but in other districts in your state, and perhaps in other places in the United States. Our country is very grateful for the contribution you have made. I didn't want to bother you with the grim statistics of the situation in Nigeria. After 14 years of private struggle, most of our institutions, including our educational institutions, are in total disarray, in varying states of disrepair. We need to rebuild our schools.
Any students who need to go through the handbook review session should report to the auditorium.
We need to re-equip
Thank you.
our schools. This is why the gift of computers and books will go a long way in our own effort to rehabilitate our educational system. Almost 2 years ago, our country elected Mrs. Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, who happens to be Africa's first female elected president. So you see, we set some days there. In spite of our war history, we have set some days. And this lady, very well educated, very focused, very dynamic, very energetic, this lady is leading our efforts with the enthusiastic support of our people to put Nigeria back on its feet. And part of the strategy for that development is, of course, to start the educational system. We want our people to become well educated because we know that education is the key for the development of all the other sectors. Because a trained, educated populace, it is very difficult for us to achieve any of our developmental goals. So we're quite keen on education. And I appeal to you, as you are in your education, to remember your brothers and sisters everywhere else who are trying to achieve the same education.